It's been 9 years since the first trailer was released on YouTube by Techland, the creators of the first game. With all the development troubles this game went through, I thought the game would never release. However, against all odds, the game has finally arrived. While still under the Deep Silver publishing banner, unlike its predecessor, Dead Island 2 underwent development by a limited number of developers before ultimately being completed by Deep Silver's Dambuster Studios. Dead Island 2 is the highly anticipated sequel to the popular first-person open-world zombie survival game, although Dead Island 2's world doesn't seem as big as the first game. In this video, we will explore the game's various aspects, including graphics, sound and music, gameplay, and story. Dead Island 2 takes players on a journey through a post-apocalyptic Los Angeles, or rather LA, where they must fight for survival against hordes of flesh-eating zombies and mutated zombies to uncover the mysterious secrets of the zombie outbreak. Dead Island 2 showcases impressive graphics that truly elevate the zombie apocalypse experience. The game's attention to detail is outstanding, with meticulously designed environments that range from picturesque coastal areas to devastated urban areas. The level of immersion in this game world is striking, with atmospheric lighting and impressive environmental destruction. The character models are highly detailed. The graphical fidelity of Dead Island 2 sets it apart from its predecessor, as it takes full advantage of advancements in technology to deliver stunning visuals. Personally, I found the graphics so captivating that I often found myself engrossed in exploring the luxurious mansions of Beverly Hills and Bel Air, appreciating their architectural splendor. This game provides a luxurious house simulation experience. The sound design in Dead Island 2 is fine and plays a crucial role in creating a tense and immersive atmosphere. The moans, groans, and screams of the zombies are good and add a sense of dread as you traverse the infected landscape of LA. The sounds of combat, from the impact of weapons to the gory dismemberment of zombies, are satisfying. Environmental sounds such as the crackling of abandoned buildings or the rustling of leaves further enhance the game's immersion. The sound design in Dead Island 2 is not perfect because it falls short in some aspects, which is slightly disappointing. While the voice acting is fine, the editing could have been better. There are instances where the sound doesn't accurately reflect the character's location, especially when transitioning from underground to above ground. However, these occurrences are infrequent, which is a positive aspect. Nevertheless, these inconsistencies detract slightly from the overall gaming experience. In terms of music, Dead Island 2 offers a memorable and dynamic soundtracks. Dead Island 2 provides an exciting and immersive zombie survival experience thanks to notable refinements in game mechanics and character movements. The upgraded game mechanics further enhance the overall enjoyment and realism of the gameplay. However, despite these improvements, Dead Island 2 does suffer from several gameplay issues that hinder the overall experience. While the character movements and graphics are commendable, certain mechanics and restrictive design choices often lead to frustration and limited player agency. Traversing the game world in Dead Island 2 heavily relies on the running and jumping mechanics. However, one of my main concerns is the accuracy of the jumping system. Regrettably, the jumping mechanics lacks consistency, resulting in instances when players miss jumps or find it difficult to jump and climb over obstacles. This lack of accuracy can disrupt the game flow, create unnecessary obstacles, and lead to frustration. Furthermore, Dead Island 2 tends to force players into combat situations that could have easily been avoided. This repetitive pattern becomes tiresome and diminishes the freedom to play the game according to personal preference. It would have been beneficial if the game allowed more flexibility in engaging with enemies, granting players the choice to either fight or strategically avoid encounters or confrontations. Additionally, the game's progression system can be overly restrictive. Players often find themselves compelled to level up in order to have a smoother experience, as the difficulty curve can be unforgiving otherwise. While challenge can be enjoyable, Dead Island 2's approach often involves introducing tankier zombies that can defeat players in only a few hits. This imbalance can lead to frustration and discourage players from fully immersing themselves in the game's world, especially if you're one of those who just wants to experience the story. Furthermore, a lack of post-game rewards such as infinite ammo or additional unlockables diminishes the game's replayability value. Having incentives or rewards to strive for after completing the main story would have added a layer of excitement and motivation for players to continue exploring the game's world, and the inclusion of different characters, although providing dialogue changes, falls short as a sufficient incentive since the characters' stories play out similarly. In Dead Island 2, the primary and exclusive enemy types are zombies, allowing the game to focus on the detailed anatomy of these creatures. This emphasis enhances the satisfaction of killing them and serves as a memorable aspect of the gameplay. The game features an array of zombies, each presenting a unique challenge. Players will encounter agile and aggressive runners as well as hulking tanks and other variations. This variety keeps players engaged, however, adds an element of predictability to encounters. Moreover, different characters' skills can be utilized to effectively eliminate the zombies. In Dead Island 2, each character possesses their own unique set of skills and attributes at the start of the game. However, as players progress, they have the opportunity to acquire additional skills, including those from other characters. It is important to note that the attributes of characters cannot be upgraded, meaning players are locked into their initial attributes throughout the whole game. However, this limitation does not significantly hinder the overall experience, as players can still complete the game with all the characters and find enjoyment in their preferred playstyle. To acquire new skills, players engage in various activities such as killing specific zombies, completing side quests, and advancing through main stories or main missions. This progression system allows players to tailor their character's ability and further enhance their capabilities in combat and survival. Dead Island 2 offers players a wide array of weapons, ranging from improvised melee options like burnt timber, wreckage machete, and wreckage hammer, to powerful firearms such as shotguns, AR-15s, and hunting rifles, to name a few. These selection of weapons cater to various playstyles, ensuring players have a satisfying choices at their disposal. The weapons in this game have a significant impact, and the enhanced mechanics further heighten the visceral satisfaction of combat. Dead Island 2 introduces 6 playable characters, each equipped with their own set of distinctive attributes. However, the significance of these attributes in gameplay is negligible, as early on it becomes apparent that these hold no real value or noteworthy impact on the characters. When choosing your Slayer, attributes such as toughness, agility, or stamina should not be taken into consideration. Dead Island 2 introduces special enemies as bosses that later become regular enemies in the game world. Additionally, some of the bosses are recycled and the fights are not particularly unique, often involving fighting the boss while dealing with ordinary zombies for health and supplies. In addition to its single-player campaign, Dead Island 2 emphasizes cooperative multiplayer, allowing players to team up with friends to face the zombie horde. This mode adds excitement and camaraderie as you work together to complete missions and scavenge for supplies. However, a significant drawback of multiplayer mode is the requirement for all players to be at the same level in the game, limiting the number of potential players and exacerbating the issue as player bases decrease over time. This limitation makes it increasingly challenging to matchmake and find other players to join. One possible solution to this problem is to enable cross-platform cooperative play, a normalization that has yet to be implemented in modern video game development despite its potential benefits. Set in California, Dead Island 2 introduces players to a vibrant and dynamic world, offering a stark contrast between the beautiful coastal landscapes of LA and the chaos of a zombie outbreak. With its distinctive blend of action, RPG elements, and cooperative gameplay, the game invites players to explore and scavenge for resources. Dead Island 2 has 6 playable characters: Carla, Jacob, Ryan, Danny, Amy, and Bruno, and each has their own backstories, which we are not going to get into. The game starts with a cutscene introducing us to all playable characters making their way into a plane. After the plane crashes, you are prompted to select your character. After the character selection, you make your way through the plane crash to find out there were other survivors of the plane crash. Emma, the actress, her assistant Michael, and Ronnie. You all hear a sound under a debris. After your player character clears the debris, you find a man and his wife who were trapped under there. Your player character, Michael and Ronnie, try to free the man, but the debris was too heavy. Still being exposed, Michael suggests to Emma that they are too exposed and should make their way to a safer place. Emma agrees, but before she leaves, she gives you her home address. Your player character battles a couple of undead and goes back to give the man and his wife a drink of water. When your player character gets bitten and infected and has to make their way to Emma's house, when the player character gets there, they find out that they are immune to the virus. Emma and co are then attacked by a small horde of undead, which the player character takes care of. So after the attack, the player character decides to go and look for help and a way out of Hele. The story of Dead Island 2 is boring and forgettable. While playing, I found it failed to capture my attention. The mission design lacks innovation, mainly consisting of closing gates by putting fuses in a fuse box or completing first quests. These games have never been known for their good storytelling. They don't take themselves too seriously and have a rather wacky tone. In my opinion, the AAA gaming industry needs to overcome this trend and strive to make storytelling great again. In conclusion, I believe Dambuster Studios demonstrated their dedication to creating a satisfying zombie killing experience. However, the game still suffers from common issues found in modern AAA game design, where developers prioritize certain aspects of the game and force players to experience them excessively. This approach often leads to player frustration and annoyance. For instance, in God of War, the option to skip cutscenes was removed because the animator invested a significant amount of time in them. And in this game, the inclusion of excessive scripted repetitive fights detracts from the overall experience. However, playing with friends remains a fun and enjoyable aspect, as with many other games in this genre.